Who has a 100-word summary of all the trouble you guys got into last week?
Oh man, we had so much trouble. We ran away from all of it.
Yeah, we did, because that's how Metal Gear works. The guy sees you, then you run away and hide and cry.
I don't know. I ran up that one guy and held down the circle button, tossed him off the cliff.
We split up last week. Red and I went in here, grabbed the staff. We murdered some snake men and stole their magical crossbow bolts.
That's exciting.
McDohl went down.
How do you know they're magical?
Because he shot one at us and it blew up.
That could be alchemical.
Yeah.
It's all magic. Okay, fine. We'll call them quantum crossbow bolts.
That's magic.
McDohl went in here and made kissy faces at a Goliath and started a slave revolt.
Yeah.
And then, Wendy knocked a dude off of a cliff. That's all I got.
We did make some progress in this place. We haven't quite burned it to the ground yet, but I feel that's coming.
It'd be difficult to burn because it's made predominantly of stone and there's a lot of water around.
I mean,
what if we push the whole thing into a cliff?
we could put oil on the water and set fire to the water.
But the water is how we've been sneaking around. I don't want to burn our bridges just yet.
Anyway, only the surface of the water would burn. That'd be a good way to obscure ourselves. But we also found that the evil guy that Red wanted to kill and everybody else wanted to spare, his daughter, I think, is in here. And
Awesome. Him?
No, the scientist's daughter.
He is in there.
No, scientist's daughter, right. So the scientist isn't here. Where was the daughter?
The daughter was in the cliff, but is being taken to there.
Okay.
Or so we were told.
And
Might
then
not be true.
We found the wrong. We went in the back door, and we killed all the matriarch's guards, and now we are standing in front of her, and she's getting ready to kill herself because she doesn't like winged, dragon lizard things, Couatls. I don't know. I don't understand that.
Adrex, you've been there the whole time.
Yep, sure have.
What kind of interesting things was Adrex getting up to while we were all off doing our own thing?
No, he was there.
I was carrying him the whole time. He helped me
Seems
push
very
him out of the cliff.
inconvenient.
He helped me stab that one guy.
Oh, he helped me back on a Goliath. That happened.
Well, you
was
see one
everywhere,
set of
all over
footsteps.
the
That's
place.
where he was perching on you.
On your shoulders. Wasn't awkward or weird at all.
So there was
Position of the
one
NPC.
secret passage in the entire complex on my map
And we found it.
that I put there and then put the clues for it in various NPC interactions, and then literally Destil says, "Hey, go search this one specific spot for secret passages." It's the only time anybody has searched for secret passages the entire adventure. And it
No, in
just-
all 3 of your campaigns.
So
It just happened to be the one time there actually was one. So you found where the rat folk, Packdot, had been tunneling into the treasury underneath this temple. At first he said it was just to get access to the gold so he could steal it all. After you pushed him a little, though, he revealed that his brother was taken as a slave by the Yuan-ti. And considering that you guys had just started this big slave riot and you're going to be bloodying a lot of them, he's basically entrusting you to get his brother out safely.
okay, yep, that's what we're gonna try to do.
And then you immediately abandoned that quest and went to the... Well, you were on the basement level of the temple because that's where the treasury is. But you went to the matriarch's quarters, dispatched her elite guards, and she's holding this jagged sacrificial dagger to her throat as you enter. She looks very old and immeasurably defiant. She is not like completely unflappable. What do you guys do to kind of break this standoff?
I mean, she has a knife at her own throat. Am I remembering that right?
She's holding a knife to her own throat. She knows you're here to kill her, and she's not going... Well, she says that she's not inclined to kowtow to the Couatl. That she would bleed herself before it comes to that. So far, she has not made any kind of move to follow through on this threat.
I mean, it saves me stabbing her.
Sorry, just crosses his arms and is like, do it. Cool.
Yeah.
What are the rest of you doing?
I mean, it seems like Yuan-ti business to me.
Yeah, Wendy just kind of looks confused. She's like, wait. Didn't we come here to kill her? What's going on? Is there something we don't get?
Who are you asking?
Her, I guess.
She sneers, and she tells you that there is much and more that you do not understand.
Alright.
I'm a quick learner.
So you knew we were coming? Who told you?
She sneers at Raazu in response, but says nothing. Raazu, you can make me an insight check.
If she keeps making that face, it might get stuck that way.
I need a D20.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of them on the table when I loaded the table.
Yeah, someone deleted them, I guess. Hey, that's a 20.
Considering her elite guard consisted of just 3 people at the time being, probably she didn't know you were coming. You do seem to have caught her house completely unawares. The reason she has guards here, the reason she's here at all, is because there is supposed to be this execution happening tonight. That she probably was doing preparation work for when you all busted in.
I mean, how close are we to her in the room right now? Oh, we've gone to the second room?
Just a matter of feet. The 2 mind whisperers that you killed were all that stood between you and her. So she's essentially reclined on this large bed where she's coiled up. She has the snake torso.
Okay. Refresh my memory a little bit. So we're here because she's the number 1 person who will throw this place into disarray. Did we hear that she was one of the people who was working with the fiends in order to kind of like invent that new poison, or not?
As far as I know, you don't have all of that information yet. You knew that some of the this was a grand discussion between the matriarchs, and right now there is a lot of disarray because they fished that one hydroloth that you killed underwater.
Yeah.
They fished him out of the water and are discussing what, if anything, should be done in retaliation for this death. Is this their business? Is it not? Did they have some kind of binding contract with them?
So I guess
you only have partial information on that so far.
Okay.
So I guess to clarify my question earlier, is she in Raazu's threat range? And if so, can I sneak attack her? Or do I need to roll initiative first?
You have to roll initiative. You can't make an attack without rolling initiative. Is that what we're doing?
That's what Red's doing. I don't know about anybody else.
All right,
Oh,
roll
I feel
initiative.
yeah.
Like, as far as Red's concerned, we've spent way too much
We've spent too
Time
much
off.
time here.
talking to this lady. Like, any amount of conversation here is...
We've only been in this room for maybe a minute and a half. That's
That's
how long
way
it took
too
you
long.
to dispatch the 3 guards.
Well, Raazu ain't gonna be stopping anybody.
Like, basically, as soon as the conversation starts, Red
So-
would like to end it with a dagger.
So so Destil just skips the cutscene. I understand.
Birdie, you cannot be surprised.
I'm just gonna hold an action to shoot anything that Red attacks.
Okay.
Shoot the old lady if Red stabs her, because like I kind of figured that's where this was going anyway, and I'm glad that Red has not disappointed me.
Wendy, I'll let you decide whether you're surprised or not.
I mean, is it really that surprising?
No, it's not surprising, and I'm going to let Red do it though. I mean, this is his thing.
Okay. If she doesn't make a move, Red.
Yeah, let's stab her. This is the Kraken. I pull out the Kraken Priest dagger that's coated with sickening poison.
Okay.
Sickening radiance. That's a 16 on armor class.
That'll hit. And as you step forward, she draws her jagged blade across her throat and begins bleeding as you dash forward and put your Kraken Priest dagger. This dagger was designed to be broken off in a wound to deal extra damage, but he's just too stubborn to do it.
It seems to be a magic weapon. Like it's been effective against things that need magic weapons, so that's why I haven't done it. Is because
Kraken
it seems more
Priest-
useful.
Yeah, they're just wasteful. Kraken.
So that'll deal a total of before the poison 27, and then she gets to make a con save.
And to be clear, you get sneak attack if an ally is within 5 feet of your target, not if the target's in your ally's threat range.
Right. Sorry.
She failed her con save.
Sickening radiance is
A lot.
4d6. So she gets a level of exhaustion, and now she's taking another. Uh, 15 radiant damage.
And as she dies, the dagger in her hand clatters to the ground. She grabs Red by the scruff of his neck and draws him close to her face. As she's bleeding out, she gurgles her dying words. She says, "If the Red Star wills this place to be the first rung of its ladder, it will be done." And then she slumps forward.
That sounded ominous.
We heard that before, right? Red Star? Sounds familiar.
Yes, you've heard that before.
That's your thing?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Glad we could get that sorted out. Alright, let's go, not let all these slaves die.
Okay. What's the plan for exiting the temple?
Slip back out the way we came.
There's one guy between us and the treasury, as far as we know right now.
Correct. One guard. Last we heard of him, he was upstairs giving orders to go quell this.
I'm gonna toss her chamber real quick to see if there's anything interesting or valuable.
How much time are you willing to spend doing this?
About a minute.
A whole minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
While he's doing that,
We've been down here for less than 5 minutes, so.
Yeah, while you're doing that, we can go take out that guard.
Yeah.
We'll have Birdie move over there quietly and check to see if the guard even came back to his post yet.
Okay, I'll try to sneak out and peek to see if the guard is at the door.
You'd have to open the door to peek out of it.
Oh, can I? I will try to see if the guard is at the door before opening it, and then if I can't hear anything, I will try and peek out.
Make me a hide check, and then make me a perception check.
All right, so that is the hide check is. 21 on the hide check, and then what was the other check?
Perception.
That is a 18 on perception.
And yes, you do perceive shuffling movement on the other side of the door, which tells you that someone is standing guard there and probably very uneasily.
Okay.
They're not aware of your presence on the inside because if they were, the door would be open and they'd be rushing in.
Are they on the left or the right of the door? Are they in front of the door or what?
Difficult to say.
Okay. Is there any way I could try to figure that out without opening the door?
It's going to be a 50-50 guess.
Okay.
And there's
All
no way
right.
to stealthily open the door.
Let's just take him out.
Yeah. Kick the door down and have someone kick the door down and let's go bash his head in.
Roll initiative.
Oh, look at that. I rolled a 1.
Oh, look at that. I rolled a 1.
Look at the difference between my 1 and his 1.
It doesn't matter because we're acting on our initiative anyway. So, it doesn't matter how bad we roll. It's fine.
Here, did you roll an 11?
I did.
Okay, you can go before me. Somebody needs to kick the door down anyway.
Do you tell Adrex that?
Yeah, Adrex is
go
acting first.
Yeah, then Adrex kicks down the door. Bam!
Kicks down the door.
Wait, aren't we supposed to be quiet?
Go ahead,
Not to kill this guy.
Make me a strength check.
I'm good at those. Lol. That's a 13.
That's not
13?
bad.
No.
Adrex, you throw your weight into this door, and there's a loud, resounding thump as you fail to break it down.
Ah! Out! Ah!
And then you hear shouting on the other side of the door.
Try opening it.
Adrex, moving or staying put?
Staying put.
Raazu
Bouncing up
sighs.
and down.
Birdie,
I'm going to open the door.
you open the door, and there's a guard standing there at attention with his scimitar, looking a bit
Haven't
startled
you guys missed me?
that you're coming the wrong direction, and you hear movement up the stairs as reinforcements are coming. So this is a T-junction where you're at the top right part of the T. If you move forward across the top crossbar of the T, you'll be going upstairs leading to the main temple area. If instead you take the left down towards the boot of the T, you'll be headed towards the treasury where you all came in.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just stab this guy
Okay.
with my short sword.
Okay. Feel free.
This poor guard.
Yes or no on the pack tactics?
No, Adrex is not within 5 feet of him.
Okay, all right. So that is a 20 to hit.
That'll hit.
All right. For 9 points piercing damage.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cunning action disengage and run downstairs about 20 feet. Still to keep. I'm going to still keep him in sight, but away from the oncoming guards.
There's no stairs for you to run down.
Well, I thought you said down. Down towards where we came in at
So
the treasury.
you're going to disengage and squeezle past him?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to require 10 feet of movement to get through his space.
Okay, that's fine. I've got 45.
Okay, so you make it most of the way to the treasury door, and as you do, you're moving past the hallway leading up into the main temple, and you can see several more of these guards coming down the stairs. Red.
Mm-hmm. I take it I haven't found anything yet since they just started bashing on the door.
So you're still in the room looking?
Yeah.
Make an investigation check. Do you know what you're looking for?
No, not specifically. I'm seeing what catches my eye. That's an investigate of 30.
Make it a disadvantage. Because you don't know what you're specifically trying to find.
That's an investigate of 23.
Of 23?
Yeah.
Let me consult my notes here.
Rogues, am I right? Alright, guys.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You did 7 damage. That's right, you don't know what I'm talking about.
I did
She has
9
a
damage.
case
Best skill.
against one of the far back walls, opposite one of the lit braziers in the room. And on it are some carefully organized scrolls. And you're thinking that if you had all the time in the world, it might be nice to open these up and find out what these are. You don't have that amount of time. So what catches your eye is essentially a tiny bowl or basin sitting on this shelf that smells very faintly acrid. And you step in and you grab it, and looking at it, you see 2 fingers webbed together. They're very large, like larger than you and your companions. They're kind of curled up in the bottom of this dish with some kind of soaking in some kind of acidic liquid, giving off this very faint, acrid, bubbling scent. And you realize these are 2 of the clipped fingers from the Hydroloth that you've killed.
Mm-hmm.
As for what this for or why she has them, you have no idea. But that's what catches your eye immediately.
Let's go ahead and toss those in the water.
So you're going to step out of her room and just toss them over the side of her little bridge?
Is the water here flowing, or would they just be found at the bottom if I did that?
It's flowing. All the water under this structure is flowing in some direction. So probably this would flow out this direction under the main temple stairs, and then eventually out the complex entirely.
Yeah, let's toss those in the water, grab that case, and make our way towards the door.
Wait, grab what case?
The case with the scrolls?
That's like a bookcase.
Oh.
Like,
Sorry, I was thinking like a scroll case.
you'd need another dude in a moving van to take the whole bookcase.
Yeah, that's fine then. Just throw the fingers into the wash.
Okay, there's a splash and a slight bubbling concoction as you do.
And pull out a dagger, move up behind Birdie.
Okay,
Or not behind Birdie, behind Adrex.
behind Adrex. It's going to bring us to Windy.
All right, I'm gonna step forward towards the guard and take out my longsword
Okay,
and go in for a couple slashes.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Billowing or not?
Toss out some billow, yeah. Wah, wah. That's a 16 to hit
16 will hit.
for 8 damage,
Okay.
slashing. And could you make me a con save?
18.
Ah, he actually
On the
passed.
con save.
Congrats to
Okay.
him. That's it. I'm good.
Moving or staying put?
I'll stay put. I'll stay here so my rogues can actually do something.
Okay. Right now you're fighting in a doorway. And there's enough space for probably 2 of you to fight in this doorway, but after that it's going to be difficult for anybody else to close in the distance. Just so as you're aware. And
That's fine.
we'll start with Windy, because that pleases me to do so.
Okay.
He comes in with his scimitar. I have a 10
Nah.
and a 21.
Yeah, that'll hit.
That's going to do 5 points of slashing damage.
Alright.
And we don't have to worry about poison damage for you, right?
No.
Okay. They didn't have the scimitar wasn't poisoned anyway. That's correct. Never mind.
Oh, right, because he thought he was going to have to fight Yuan-ti.
And 2 more of these guards come down the stairs. So Birdie, you've got 2 guards in between you and the rest of your group now.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
One of them casts a glance your direction, while you see the other one break off to help his ally fight Windy. Windy, I have an 18
No.
and a 9.
No.
The second guard, Birdie, you watch as he turns and steps in towards Windy as well. Windy, I've got a 13
No.
and a 14.
No.
But I wasn't
And
trying
Wendy's
to hit
just
you.
ducking and weaving under swords.
Yeah, he's not trying to hit you.
Oh,
Instead,
no.
he takes his scimitar, and you see him, Birdie, drag it across his other guard's back as he turns on his comrade and gives him 2 grievous slashes, because both of those actually hit the Malison's AC. They've got Garbo AC. For the lowest possible damage you could roll.
-2.
And you see this look of surprise, Birdie, at the guard he's attacking and the one who's holding the door. As this seemingly Yuan-ti ally, there's no considerable visual distinction between them. These are all the Malicens with the heavy, like, lumberjack arms capable of holding these wicked-looking scimitars. And that's going to bring us to Raazu. Raazu, there's currently space for you to move up and engage in the doorway, but if you do that, Adrex will not be able to.
I think that'll be okay, because I'm going to go ahead and go after the guy who the Malison just turned on.
Okay. To do that, you're going to have to move through the doorway, and I'm going to give him an attack of opportunity on you.
That's fine.
Okay. I have a 16.
Not quite.
Not quite. So
Does
he tries to
14 hit?
awkwardly bring his scimitar up as you shoulder past him. It's going to require 10 feet of movement to get through his space, but I think you can swing that.
Yeah, I can manage that.
So you get through the
There's not
doorway on
much
the other
further
side.
Does a 14 hit?
14 does hit, yes.
All right.
Previously
Stand with
established Garbo AC.
That's only 4 damage for the first hit.
Okay.
Second hit is going to hit. And
What are
it's
you
gonna
fighting
deal-
with? The trident?
The trident, yes.
Okay.
That's going to deal 6 damage.
This is one of those situations where I put something in the game world as just like a flavorful thing. Like this was just an artifact that was freezing that little spring in that side adventure you guys did that one time. I never expected this would become somebody's main weapon in this campaign.
Have you ever run D&D?
I have, and I don't know why I am continually surprised by this.
You just make these bad choices.
The fun part is like you guys don't even know what the trident does. It's just
Yeah.
likes it.
I want to speak to Goblin at the bar.
I want to talk to Sam Spiegel.
These Kraken Priest daggers are just meant to be broken off once for extra damage.
That's true, but I did have cultists stab and not break them if they knew that the fight wasn't going to end quickly, so... And red is the cold and calculating sort that... Anyway.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's going to conclude Raazu's turn.
You shoulder past the one in the doorway and fight this other one who's now got enemies on both sides of him, as his ally has apparently betrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to bring us back to Adrex.
Hate to see that.
All right, what does Adrex have to do to hit something?
I just move into the doorway next to Windy, and you're fighting the guard at the door.
I thought Raazu was going to be in my way.
No,
That's
Raazu-
Raazu went out the door.
Excellent, because Adrex is just he's been waiting for this. It's this whole
Feels like
time.
weeks.
It feels like weeks. He finally gets to hit something. Hopefully, I'm going to hit the one that Raazu just hit as a follow up.
Okay.
Haha! It's a 12.
A 12 does hit.
Does hit. Excellent. All right.
Yeah, believe it or not.
Garbo ACs.
That's just embarrassing.
Apparently, these Malicens are just wearing their underwear.
4. 9 plus 5. There. Do you need the damage separate?
It's always my preference to get damage separate,
All right. It's
typically.
8 piercing and 6 fire.
Okay.
And second attack.
Says with such
Well,
force.
again.
So you're attacking your main hand with your flaming dagger.
Yeah. That's 12 to hit again.
12 hits. Strangely enough.
That hasn't gone up. For 9 slashing and 7 fire.
And he is bloodied.
He breaks off.
Excellent.
The dagger?
Third attack. Because I get 3 attacks now.
Whoa.
Crit.
Whoa.
That's just more opportunities for him to roll ones. I don't know why he's so excited.
Why do you curse me like this?
I'm not the one that cursed you. Let's get that straight.
That was a witch.
Is that a fate word crit?
Yeah, that is 10 slashing and 10 fire, apparently.
And you pull this dagger out,
Yeah.
and you see the flames lick up his wound as he dies with a look of surprise still on his face, having been betrayed by this other soldier who steps in beside you, and he's about to slash the last standing guard.
Joke's on him. I have an offhand attack. For 25 to hit.
That'll hit.
Assuming that hits. For
What's your offhand weapon?
silver sword.
Okay.
Because he can use versatile weapons in his offhand now, thanks to that feat.
That's right. Yeah,
For 9 slashing, and he can please make a Constitution saving throw as I desperately pull up my character sheet.
He passed the last one. This one he's got an 11.
Nope, that is a fail. He takes an additional
Dies instantly, no save.
7 damage, and he is prone. His ass is prone. He is
He-
prone.
Crumples to the ground, and he's also bloody. It's brings to Birdie.
Adrex has missed this.
I'm just going to shoot the same one that everybody's been attacking.
Okay, he's prone now, so you're at disadvantage.
Yeah, you're at disadvantage.
Okay, so
Thanks, Adrex, says Birdie.
I did it!
What is it, a crossbow master feat that lets you ignore that?
well, that's a crit.
Did you roll a disadvantage?
I mean, he's got somebody within 5 feet of him, so
That's true.
I get so
Okay. But you do not get to apply sneak attack. Because
Yeah.
you have disadvantage on the roll.
So that is 10 damage, 11 damage magical piercing.
Okay. He shudders and grunts as an arrow sprouts from his chest. Birdie, you moving or staying put?
I'm going to back up to the door to the treasury
Okay.
and then just stay put.
And which one of you, by the way, I forget. I had this in my notes last week, but I guess I didn't save the note file. Which one of you took the panpipes and the whip?
Raazu has it.
Raazu has it. All right. And Red, at this point, you're coming up. It looks like your companion is just about mopping up this guard at the door as you arrive.
And is there space to get in there and stab, or
Not especially because he's got 2 combatants on either side of him.
Mhm.
He's kind of sandwiched.
And he's on the
between all
ground?
of them. And he's prone on the ground.
I'll move up behind Adrex and ready in action to shoot him when he stands up.
Okay. Windy, can you be the guy right here?
Yeah, he's not going to stand up. And I'll move in with my longsword.
Okay.
Toss out a quick billow. Oh, wait. So I'll roll these twice. That's a 16
That hits.
and a 18 or 19
Also hits.
for 23 magical slashing.
You put your longsword through him, and you hear his scimitar clatter to the ground as he loses his grip on it. He moves no more. At this point, the last remaining Malison kind of takes a ginger step back from you and kind of squares off with his scimitar, taking up a defensive stance. Like he's not sure what's about to happen next, but he does not make an aggressive move towards any of you.
Red, this one helped us kill the Malison. What's his deal?
This is probably the beginning of the inter-matron conflict of grasping for power.
So super good if we leave him alive then?
Yeah.
Alright.
Tell him to fuck off in Yuan-ti.
Wendy makes a shooing motion.
And he backs steadily away from you until he's sure that nobody's going to follow him, and you see him move back up the stairs.
Alright, let's go.
Back through the treasury then?
And you enter back into the dingy little treasury room. Who's entering first?
Red will.
Right, as you enter, you see this pedestal in the center of the room with his dragon head. You see the eyes begin to open, and the head move towards you. It doesn't move far because it's already facing the door.
And I will say the password in Draconic.
What's the password?
Do I have that written down?
That's rude, Brick Road.
It's sleep easy.
That's right. Thank you. It's in these notes somewhere. Sleep easy.
And he
Only
speaks
the
the
Draconic
words,
for that.
and the eyes close, and the dragon poses no threat.
Still, how much treasure is left here?
Quite a lot.
Because he didn't.
Pack filled his pack once and left.
He said
he was going to wait outside at the rendezvous point. He was going to give you guys, if he didn't hear word within a day, he was going to assume that you've all failed and that it's too dangerous to come back.
Okay.
Right,
He didn't say he was going to come back for another.
Yeah. Okay, never mind that.
McDohl, what was that?
He didn't say that he was going to come back for another load, did he?
He didn't say he wasn't.
Red's already at the. Sorry.
I'm thinking our deal is going to be to collapse this tunnel once we're through.
Yeah, Red's already at the entrance to the tunnel.
Okay.
Checking to see if there's anybody else up there right now.
There doesn't not seem to be any evidence that the Yuan-ti have discovered this tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
At least not from this side. You can't be certain about the other side. I mean, you guys found it easily enough.
Sounds so mad about that.
Hey, Birdie, what do we do to collapse this once we're through?
I'd have to take a look when we get inside. Shouldn't be too difficult because he built it to be collapsed.
Yeah.
And Red's already making his way up the tunnel then.
Okay.
Yeah, Raazu's behind him.
Birdie, make an intelligence plus thieves' tools check.
So 3 plus 19.
You're not sure how PackDot rigged it, but you know how you'd collapse it. You have some ideas on how to make sure it stays closed. The question is, where are you going to collapse it?
I mean, if I can safely collapse it at the entrance, like where we came, not the entrance where we came in. I'm just gonna wait till we get to like the last half of it.
Okay.
Past that, I don't care. We're not gonna be here long enough for it to really matter much more than that.
So you guys climb up out of the mostly vertical part of this tunnel, back to where it branched off to where he had made himself a little hidey hole, and then it angles upward to the outer wall beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to do it like the branching point?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And you grab a couple nearby roots and rocks and pull them down, and soil and stone and earth collapse down into the tunnel. And you watch as it rolls down the incline and begins to pile up at the point where the branch occurs. I mean, with digging tools, you'd be able to get back through this. PackDot did on his own, after all, but it's collapsed for all intents and purposes. And if anybody was coming through after you, they're now buried in the rubble.
Okay, so once we get out to the outside, Raazu looks around and says, "Okay, we're going to need to get someone to safeguard the scientist."
We have to go get the scientist.
Yeah,
as you come up
you knew
out,
where he was, Birdie? Wendy?
the hole in the wall, you're aware of quite a lot of commotion on the other side of the wall. And every now and then you do hear the sound of steel on steel.
Okay.
How long does it take to use that legend lore stone?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Can we bug off somewhere out of sight and do that real quick and then make our plans to probably one group of us work on doing what we can with the slaves, the other group grab the scientist?
Mm-hmm.
We also got to grab his daughter.
Yeah. I mean, they are presumably in the same location. So I think Red should be the one to cast the Legend Lore spell because it might this thing might only work for Yuan-ti.
Do I need spellcraft or anything to be able to do that?
No.
Okay.
And I'll just teach you the mechanics really quick. And then I'll say to the others, like, so saving the slaves is the next part of this plan.
Yeah.
Should we get somewhere Red, like, should we get somewhere safe for Red and then go get the scientist while he casts this spell? Because we don't need it in order to get the scientist.
Mm-hmm.
That seems reasonable.
I can stay back. I can stay back and cover Red, so he's not left alone.
My thought is to move into this part of the area. I think you reported that the stream wasn't too, the current isn't too strong there. We could hide underwater. I could hide underwater while I'm casting the spell.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so is that the plan?
Yeah.
So coming back over to this edge of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Who's moving first? Who's point man?
Red'll get everybody else to wait a minute, and he will move quietly up to like this area.
Let's
He'll,
get
kinda-
a hide check.
Yep. That would be a 17.
17. Do you want to use any of your remaining stealth points?
Yeah, let's spend 5. So I'm down to 31.
Teehee.
Coming around this wall here, you see they're still on alert in this area.
Mm-hmm.
You see 2 guardsmen stationed at the base of these stairs, one on either side of an earthen bridge that spans the gap. You see 2 more patrolling back and forth the length of the river between here and the wall. And as you come around the corner, one on patrol turns his eyes back, and you're pretty sure he sees you for a moment before you duck back behind the wall and run back to rejoin your friends. You're not sure how much time you have before somebody comes to investigate your direction.
Other way.
Up and over the wall.
No, let's make our way around behind the quarters, try and get in through the other bridge where we hadn't raised an alarm before.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's go ahead and stop everybody right here on the Z and Zastal. I was beginning to think nobody was going to come back around this way.
Wonder why you've been thinking about that.
I know. Let's go ahead and get some initiative.
Why do I always roll like shit for initiative? Like, why am I just doomed to be like at the bottom
I mean, you don't have to.
forever?
You can roll better if you want.
That's fair.
We all have our crosses to bear, Dole.
I don't want to hear it. All right. I hope your next character only rolls like 2s and 3s for initiative.
Why would you inflict that on someone?
Not even my worst enemy.
Especially somebody that you might need to save your ass one day.
So the plan is to
Because he's being
come
all smug about it.
I'm not
come
smug.
around not just the wall, but the narrow path back behind the necropolis. And you're in this very tight ravine with a sharp cliff on your left-hand side, and then the more kind of steady hill leading up to the back of the necropolis. As you come around and get a good view of the ravine itself, in the center of it, you see where this pit has been bored out. Relatively large, maybe 50 feet across. Not particularly deep, though. As you're coming in, you see a couple of slaves, 2 burly orcs, are struggling with the back half of what looks like a goat, and something is tugging on this goat very strongly. One of the orcs loses his nerve and lets go, and if that happens, the other one, you hear him squeal as whatever's pulling on this goat yanks and pulls the goat and the orc into this sandy pit. And you hear the terrible sounds of bones crunching as the other orc turns to scramble away in fear, and then sees the 5 of you. And he puts his fists up in fear. Birdie, you're first.
I mean, How far away is he from us?
A considerable distance, maybe 40 or 50 feet or so, because you saw this just as you were rounding this corner into the ravine behind the necropolis. So you still have a fair amount of distance. He doesn't seem to be running towards you, just looking to defend himself, because he's seen some well-armed adventurers that have blocked off his only manner of egress.
I mean, I'm going to look to the left, look to the right, and just make shooing motions at him.
Where do you intend for him to go?
Like, I'm making come along, like doing a little motion where you're like, you can go through.
So you're beckoning him towards you?
Not beckoning. I'm like just kind of like when you open a door for somebody and you're like, come on through.
Okay, I'm confused at what you mean. That means this orc is absolutely confused by what you mean. He thinks you're threatening him.
That's fair.
That's going to bring us to Windy.
I hope we shoot all the NPCs we meet.
So the only exit for this orc would be through us?
Yeah, there's probably the wall on your right-hand side. He could scramble up that hill. And he's physically capable of doing so. But he's also a slave. So it probably won't occur to him to try to do that.
Then I point at the cliff. And I said, go, up the cliff. There's a death monster behind you.
You tell him to scale the cliff?
Yeah.
He does not do that. Red, you're up.
Do I recognize like a slave brand on any of them?
Not from this distance, no. But you're certain
what
he
if I
has one
move?
somewhere.
What if I move 30 feet closer? Can I get a better look at them?
If you make an active perception check.
Sure. And what are they doing with the goat? That's a perception of like 4.
The goat is dead.
Yeah, the goat's no
Okay.
more. The goat.
Oh,
is
actually,
one
it's
of the
a
orcs being pulled in.
8. Perception
8?
of 8.
You move closer to him, so now you're the closest one to him and this pit. So you don't notice a slave mark that you immediately identify. However, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
It's against magic or a spell?
It is against magic.
That would be a wisdom save of 12.
Of 12.
Mm-hmm.
You move in and you're scanning over this orc, the patches of his bare flesh, looking for a mark or a carving or something indicating who in this city might own him. And as you do, you become aware of something writhing in this sandy pit as you hear the crunching of the goat and this other orc behind him. And you lay eyes on this writhing mass of black snakes for just a moment, and you find yourself utterly confused. As in the fun D10 spell.
Yep. I have a bonus action left. What confusion just means I only take the one action, right?
You can't take reactions,
Mm-hmm.
and you must roll a D10 at the start of your turn to determine your behavior for that turn.
Okay. Well, it's going to be the end of my turn then.
Yeah, I'm going to read this as you no longer have access to bonus actions. They're not possible because the spell doesn't say you're allowed to have them. So you guys see Red move forward to this orc, and then you see his last few steps towards the sandy pit are very slow and measured. He's just kind of standing there, wavering, kind of staring into the recess of this pit. That's going to bring us to Adrex.
Yeah, Adrex has no idea that Red is confused. So Adrex says in Orcish, "Come on, just go. You can go. Leave. Just go."
Where are you motioning? Because your options are up the unclimbable cliff, up the hill he'll be punished for climbing, or through the heavily armed adventurers, or back across the monster. Like, his options aren't clear.
Through the heavily armed adventurers, well, gesturing like with his hands, see no weapons.
Okay.
And Adric says that in Orcish, see no weapons.
As he immediately sees all the weapons you guys are carrying.
Dude, what is your problem?
As your action for the turn, I'll let you make a persuasion check to persuade this guy that he's safe coming through your rank.
Oops, that's not the button.
Sorry, I'm trying very hard to not sneeze or snort into the microphone. I'm not sure if I'm catching them all.
I think you're getting it.
Persuasion makes that a 12.
A 12?
A 12.
And he's just not buying it. He is terrified, and he is almost certain you're going to murder him.
Something's weird about him.
Moving or staying put?
Adrex says in common now, not in Orcish.
Okay.
Staying put.
Staying put. All right. Red.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a good roll. I have a 23 to hit.
Yep.
And a 24 to hit.
Yep.
Go ahead and make me a DC 14 Constitution saving throw.
Is that against magic or spell?
This is not.
It's a con save of 5?
5?
Yep.
Got good news and bad news.
Mm-hmm.
You don't take the poison damage, and you can't be poisoned, but you are blinded. And suddenly, these two spurts of venom come up out of the sandy pit from the heads of two of these writhing snakes and splash across your face, and you can no longer see. And this orc shrieks as he sees this venom splash past him, and he runs off to his right and flattens himself as far as he can against the stone, still with his fists raised, watching you all intently. That's going to bring us to Raazu.
Let's see. I'm going to grab Red and move him out of the way.
Okay, and he
Put
can make
myself in
a
between
wisdom
him and the
saving
pit.
throw.
Okay. Oh wait,
That's me.
she's making
That's
it.
me.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a 26.
26. Looking into the pit, what you see is at first just this writhing mass of snakes. You still hear the crunching of bones as you see the last bits of this goat, tufts of fur, and what's left of that orc being kind of sucked into the center of this writhing mass. You also hear the clanking and dragging of metal chains as whatever's in there is chained down into this sandy pit. And for a moment you freeze as though your mind is trying to comprehend what it's seeing. The world starts to lose its shape. You manage to shake yourself free of it, get your armor on Red, and drag him back from the sand.
With a 10-foot reach, can I hit it?
If you stay at the edge of the pit, you're not going to be able to drag Red away if you do that.
Okay, then. Yeah, I'll just drag Red to safety then.
Okay. That's going to bring us to...
Something's trying to cloud my mind here. Be careful if you approach.
Okay, so how far away is the pit from where I'm standing? I have not moved forward. You said about 50 feet?
You're a good 50 feet. If you're going to use a ranged attack, I'm going to call it... Because you don't have direct line of sight, but you could probably arc an arrow down into the pit. I would give it partial cover. Whatever's down there is scary as hell, though.
Like, okay, so how wide is the thing? Can I see? I want to put a Hunger Hadar on top of whatever's down in there. Can I do that? Just come out and say it.
Hunger Hadar require line of sight to the point where you want to cast it? Because you can't see the base of this sandy pit.
It just says you open a gateway to the dark between the stars. A 20-foot sphere of blackness and bitter cold, centered on a point with range and lasting for the duration.
Yeah,
within range, and okay, so I'll put a Hunger of Hadar right on top of in the middle of this pit.
Okay, and Now this pit is even more horrible and more scary.
I know, but now we can't see down into it, and whatever's in there is going to be taking ice and acid damage around if it's chained.
Is that all Birdie's doing? You're not moving anywhere?
No, I'm not moving towards the evil murder death pit. Thank you.
Okay. Windy, you're up.
Alright, I'm going to shoot whatever hell thing is in that pit. I'll move up to within sight range. What's that, like 30 feet, you said? Because it's like the wind's fairly still here.
You've got... No, you've got 60 feet of vision in this area, because it's open to the air.
Alright,
Yeah,
I'm just going to shoot whatever hell thing is in that pit.
Okay. You do not need to make a wisdom saving throw. Go ahead and...
Yeah, that's weird how that works. Also, the 20-foot radius sphere of blackness. Don't worry about that either. I'm going to toss a couple sharpshooter shots down in there.
Okay. Is it your intent to move up to the edge of the pit and fire down into it, or are you staying
Yeah,
back?
because I saw it fire acid at red,
Mhm.
and I want to be the one that it's firing horrible shit at.
Okay.
I feel like I can dodge it better than my companions.
It's also not acid; it's poison. So I don't think this can hurt you at all, because it can deal poison damage, and it can poison you, and it can blind you, and you're like, okay.
So that's a 16 to hit,
That will hit.
and a higher than 16. So 45 magical piercing.
Nice. And as these arrows rain down into the blackness of the Hunger of Fadar. You're not getting those arrows back, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
You hear this
I don't want it back anyway.
otherworldly squealing, like this crying in pain as your arrows find their mark somewhere in the pit. That just makes your blood run cold for a minute, like you're listening to something that doesn't belong. And for once, you're pretty sure it's not the Hunger of Hadar.
Guys, if it's trying to take over your minds, just give me a minute here. I'll deal with it.
You went up to the edge of the pit, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, Red, you're up. So, Red, let me roll a
D10.
D10 here.
D10. Oh, I don't get to roll the D10?
Oh, okay, I'll let you roll it. I mean, it's my creature. I kind of wanted to roll it, but...
That would be the do nothing.
Yeah, does not move or take actions this turn. But you can go ahead and repeat that saving throw to try to shake off the effects.
Is Raazu next to me now?
Yes.
Yeah, you get
she's
+4 to this.
physically pulling you away from the pit.
That's a 12 on wisdom.
A 12.
But I
yes.
have it's still magic, right?
Yes. Magical effects.
That would make it a 14.
14?
Better than 12.
Yep.
Yeah, 14 does it. Just barely.
Yay!
You managed to shake off the effect, and just as you come back to your senses, you're hearing the otherworldly squealing from the pit as Wendy's raining arrows down into it. Adrex, you're up.
Well, I don't want to throw my weapons into that because then I'll never get them back. And that would be bad. So, Adrex is going to try to do his damnedest to get this orc away to safety. And does Adrex have the sense that he shares similar confusion to Red at this point?
No, he's... What you read on this orc is... What's your passive insight?
Crap. It's
Crap.
11.
He's just terrified of
He's
the whole
just terrified.
situation.
Also, Ajax, you would know this, but I don't know if the player knows this or not. If this guy's a slave, then likely he does not understand Orcish. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he seemed to respond to me. He seemed to comprehend my Orcish, right?
It's hard to say.
Hard to say.
He knew that you were shouting at him, and while Birdie was beckoning him, oh, come on over, and while he sees you all carrying these scary weapons. So what do you do?
Well, Adrex is committed to this now, so...
Suplex him out of the pit.
Adrex wants to gently guide him to safety.
Okay.
So that the moment when he smacks Adrex, Adrex can smack him back and knock him out cold. But first, we're going to take the diplomatic approach.
Okay.
Love diplomacy.
Diplomacy is something, the obvious thing, and then he gets punched.
Yeah, so what do you do?
Adrex will continue to talk to him in Orcish and say, like, you're free to go. And he approaches very closely with his hands up, saying, no weapons. Huh? Huh?
Is Adrex using his talking to a puppy voice?
I have a 17 to hit you.
That hits.
Okay. For what's a standard orc's strength? I'm gonna say +2 for 3 points of damage. As you move in close to him, and he clocks you across the face with his fist, and he looks like he's about to pounce on you and try to bring you down on his next turn.
All right, let's fisticuffs then. First attack.
Uh-oh.
That is a 15 to hit.
That'll hit.
And
on armor.
Adrex clocks him.